G'day battlers, and today we are back to talk about another Go Battle League meta, this time the Jungle Cup Great League Edition, which is going to be running from April 6th all the way through to April 20th, first with Ultra League and then with Master League. So essentially, if you're a Great League battler like me, then you are definitely going to be focusing on the Jungle Cup for these 2-week periods for the 2-week period. But of course, for that second week, because it is paired with Master League, it means that Stardust is going to be multiplied by 4 times. So, whoops. But also, I just moved. You may not be able to tell because Wailmer is still there, but yeah, we just moved. So I'm still getting used to the space, but regardless, Jungle Cup, April 6th, April 20th. But what is the Jungle Cup? Thingo down below. So essentially, it's in the Great League, and it is a long list of typings: normal, grass, electric, poison, ground, flying, bug, and dark are eligible, with only 2 bans being Gligar and Galarian Stunfisk. So it is most of the typings. It's a little bit hard to conceptualize what that means. So I think the easiest way is to just jump in and take a look at the meta with a little bit of for the thumbnail. Okay, so we've got 5 sort of main groups on the graphic, and straight in the middle, because it is sort of the defining Pokemon, I feel like, for the Jungle Cup, and pretty much any cup that it's actually a part of, is Vigoroth. So Vigoroth has that Body Slam spam, it's got counter, and it is going to be the Pokemon to beat, especially now that it has access to Rock Slide, so it does give a bit of playback against the flying type Pokemon that used to give it sort of a proper check as something that could sort of do pretty well against it. It's a little bit tougher now, even though it already had neutral body slams, but still, it's a bit of a tough one to beat. So essentially, I've broken it in sort of half. So on the left-hand side, we have a bit of a traditional fighter, flyer, anti-flyer sort of grouping. So we have Vigoroth beating things like Steelix, Guzzlord, Abomasnow, Piloswine, and Unnovan Stunfisk, not Galarian. And these guys are sort of mostly beating the flyers, the Altaria, the Gliscor, again, Gligar is banned, the Skarmory, and the Mandibuzz, who are generally going to be beating that Vigoroth, although again, Vigoroth is going to have a lot of counterplay against these 4. So you've sort of got to watch out for that. It's not like a super hard counter situation. Skarmory's pretty good, but then you're going to have Vigoroth sort of, I guess, bodyguarding the flyers from these big threats. And that's pretty much how it goes for the most part. There are a few intricacies in there. For example, like Ice. Like Abomasnow does really well against Altaria and Gliscor. It doesn't do as well against Skarmory, just because Skarmory doesn't take that double super effective damage that the other 2 do, but it's still, like, in general, they've definitely got a bit of play. And I mean, Abomasnow was sort of weakened a little bit by the fact that it does have the grass typing, so like you've got that bit of weakness built into the Pokemon a little bit. Then on the other side, we have, I guess, the less common poison types being a sort of, I guess, a common counter to fighters, because poison resists fighting. And so we have Dragalge, we have Toxapex, we have Clodsire, and we have Toxicroak. Toxicroak, sort of another fighting option that you might want to use, especially because it does beat Vigoroth. But you've got a few more weaknesses running around. You don't have that Body Slam spam. You don't have as much play against the flyers. So like there's pros and cons. Obviously, you know, there's going to be content creators coming out with teams and such, and you can sort of work with what fits you best. But regardless, they're all going to have a pretty good time against Vigoroth. Vigoroth does, as always, have play against everything. I shouldn't even need to say it. It's just Vigoroth things. But to sort of counter these poison types, we have mostly Mudboys in the Quagsire, the Swampert, and the Whiscash. But we also have Greninja, eligible because of its dark typing. And then we have Lickitung, who just kind of, like, it's a good Pokemon. It was going to get on the graphic. It loses to Vigoroth, and generally it has a decent time up against those poison types. Not so much Toxicroak. Toxicroak definitely going to be doing pretty well against that Lickitung. But for the most part, the other guys do pretty well against the rest of the poisons. Again, noting that Toxapex has the water typing, so it isn't weak to water, but, you know, there's enough sort of mud thrown around that you've still got a pretty decent shot at it. You'll also note that there aren't arrows between the sort of the top groups and the bottom groups. In the bottom group, it's essentially a situation where Abomasnow and Guzzlord do really well against the anti-poison group. So Abomasnow has access to Energy Ball, which hits most of those things for massive damage, 4 times super effective. And then Guzzlord resists water damage. It also resists electric and grass and fire. But the main thing is that it resists water, which is a lot of the damage output coming out from these Pokemons as well. And it's just able to sort of do enough drag and neutral damage that it's able to keep on the hurt. So those two do really well against them. Piloswine, Unova, Stunfisk, and Steelix do not do well. The water types are generally going to be beating those three pretty handily, so that's sort of the relationship there. The flyers and the poison types isn't that clear cut. Like, it's very much, they all have different matchups against each of them. Again, the Toxicroak generally not doing very well. I think Dragalge generally does do pretty well up against the flyers. Clodsire, Clodsire is also a moveset question. Do you want to run Earthquake, Stone Edge, or Sludge Bomb? And I think Stone Edge is sort of a big one because there are so many flyers running around. And so maybe Earthquake is also handy for the other poison types. But, it's sort of personal preference a little bit. If you do want to run Sludge Bomb for that bit of a faster charge move, then you can definitely go for that. But I feel like Stone Edge, Earthquake doesn't seem like too bad of a shot in my opinion. But for the most part, that's sort of the meta in a nutshell. There are a few other Pokemon. For example, Mantine is definitely out and about and could be a pretty strong Pokemon in this meta as well. To be honest, I probably could have just slot it right into that the fly group. But yeah, Mantine's around. There's other dragons like Dragonite, who does have access to superpower. They could definitely throw a big nuke at a Vigoroth if you've got a little bit of energy up your sleeve. There's also things like Zweilous is also eligible, but I feel like Guzzlord probably works a little bit better potentially, but Guzzlord, you do have to do some trade shenanigans to actually get it under Great League. So I think budget Guzzlord is probably Zweilous in this case, even though it's not very budget. It's still a 75k dust secondary charge move. But anyway, I think that's sort of where I'm going to cut it off. So that is sort of the Jungle Cup Meta Simplified infographic. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all those things if you do want more of these going into the future. Although admittedly, there aren't actually that many cups this season. Like, it's very vanilla in terms of the Go Battle League season, but regardless, I will say next week, and I'll be at Perth for the Perth Regional Championships. So if you're there, I'll see you there. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say. So yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, especially the subscribe one. And where's the? Yeah, there we go. Thank you the YouTube members and patrons as well for being lovely human beings. And I realized this graphic is actually out of date. I don't know when I last updated. I've been updating the YouTube description and I haven't been updating this graphic. I'll do that. Bye.